Good afternoon. I trust you are well from wherever you're joining us across the country on this day, the 24th of October, the year being 2023. There is so much lined up for you that we have gathered across all the 47 counties here on TV47 News Now. But first, the highlights. Suspected bandits ambush primary school and GSU camp in Kapindasum, Baringo County, leading to a 2-hour gunfight. Squatters at the 1,000-acre land belonging to former STARTIMES Member of Parliament, Gershon Kirima, now say they are open to dialogue and are willing to pay up on the amount required to have them legally acquire the land. National Dialogue Committee to reconvene next week at the Bomas of Kenya as consensus on the cost of living proves a hard nut to crack. Welcome to the broadcast. My name is Moige William. This is TV47 News Now. Now, a fierce 2-hour gunfight between suspected bandits and security officers caused fear and panic at the Kapindasum area of Baringo County after the bandits attacked a school and a GSU camp in the area. Area law enforcement officials confirmed the attack, saying the attackers surrounded the Kapindasum primary school together with the General Service Unit officers on routine patrol. All right, that is a story we are following keenly, and we'll be bringing you details in our subsequent bulletins. That is at 7 and 9 p.m. Moving on, settlers on former STARTIMES Member of Parliament, the late Gershon Kirima's land in Jiru, Nairobi, say they are open to dialogue and are willing to pay up on the amount required to have them legally acquire the land they are currently living on, stating they are opposed to face the bulldozer as they have until December 31st to leave these as ordered by the court. A section of the settlers drawn from the East Riverside Estate have called on the Kirima family to open channels for dialogue.
Hello. Sisi tuko tayari kunegotiate na the family kwa sababu sisi tulipokuja hapa wale walituuzia shamba walisema shamba ni lao. Tukanunua, tukaonyeshwa shares, zile certificate tukapewa, lakini tukienda kuzaidi baadaye ndio tukaambiwa kwamba shamba si lao, ni la Kirima. Kwa hivyo tungependa family ya Kirima pia watuonee huruma, tuweze kukaa pamoja tuzungumze, ili hata kama ni kulipa polepole tuweze kulipa polepole ile gharama ya shamba. Manake tukivunjiwa saizi hatujui tutaenda wapi. Hizi family ni nyingi sana na watu hapa ndio wametegemea.
Hapa tumefanya development kubwa. Tulikuja hapa kama hatuna maji, hatuna stima, hatuna barabara. Na sasa tuna stima, tuna barabara, tumewekewa ya lami na serikali. Tumeletewa maji, pipes zimepita. Tumewekewa sewer line na serikali. Na nasema ya kwamba wakati rais wetu Ruto alikuja uongozini, alituambia kama kuna mahali watu wamekaa na wamejenga, hakutabomolewa.
Familia ya Kirima pia ni binadamu kama sisi, na niko na roho ya kuongea na hawa, tusikilizane ili wasitubomole, watuzie, kwa sababu wakati tulinunua tulidanganywa, walisema hii shamba ni ya wazungu. Wazungu washatoka, lakini sasa tulisikia ni ya Kirima na tumekubali. Jaji ile maneno amesema tumekubali yote, na mimi niko na watoto 9, sina mahali ya kuenda kwa sababu mimi ni maisha yangu imeanzia hapa na kitoka mpaka zedi ni hapa, sina mahali ya kuenda.
All right, wamekubali yote. Moving on, and let us shift gears here. The National Dialogue Committee will meet on Tuesday next week here in Nairobi in an attempt to build consensus on pending issues. During a meeting this morning in Naivasha, committee co-chair, that is Kimani Ichung'wah and Kalonzo Musyoka, admitted the cost of living is still a headache, saying they are yet to strike consensus. Azimio had threatened to boycott the talks if Kenya Kwanza will not allow the matter to be ventilated and a solution found. The two sides are also exploring ways of calling experts on how to navigate the sticky issue.
And just to confirm to you that as we reported yesterday, we embarked on the real negotiations of some of the pending issues. And today we have completed our discussion and our negotiations on the pending issues around governance, including the promotion of national unity and inclusivity in public appointments. We have also discussed and agreed on adequate checks and balances, especially around the issues of the bicameral parliaments and issues to do with our county governments. We have also discussed and agreed on issues pertaining to the fidelity to political parties and multi-party democracy. And we have now tasked our technical teams to begin drafting the instruments or bills that will actualize the areas of convergence that we have agreed on. We shall be reconvening next week on Tuesday 31st and Wednesday 1st at the Bomas of Kenya to meet with designated interested parties on the question of the cost of living. As we indicated yesterday, we have not concluded our discussions on the matter of the cost of living. It is one of the very heavy matters before us, and a matter that has been of great concern to the people of Kenya in relation to the high and escalating cost of living. And therefore, we want to give it all the attention due to it. And we felt that there was need to engage with other interested parties that would help us to in our negotiations. We shall then conclude the negotiation and agreement on the issues of cost of living the Friday of 3rd of November next week, after which we shall then be considering all the issues in terms of the draft report that the committee has been working on together with our secretary and technical teams in the week of 13th to 17th of November. That week we shall finalize on the report, writing and adoption of the report in furtherance to the times that we had extended by Parliament. And we do hope that after that week we should be able to table the final report before the Houses of Parliament and share with the rest of the country. Thank you.
Thank you. Kimani has summarized is indeed the situation. We have, as a committee, been accused of only dealing with matters affecting the elite and not being mindful of the welfare of the citizenry. I think that has come out very well. Today, Kimani and I have signed letters of invitation to the people we consider important who are going to help us crack this matter of the high cost of living during the round table discussions on Tuesday and Wednesday next week. Thank you.
All right, now let us turn our focus to matters education. Members of Parliament are demanding answers from Education Cabinet Secretary Ezekiel Machogu to guarantee security and integrity of the forthcoming national examinations scheduled to start later this month. The concerns came after Kathiani, Member of Parliament, Robert Mboi, raised concerns on the transport of exam papers, which he said will compromise the security and integrity of the national examinations.
Order number 8.
Hold. Yes, Honorable Robert Mbui, the acting minority leader.
Thank you for the recognition, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I wanted to seek your indulgence and probably advise as the head of this House, Mr. Speaker, because we are now heading towards the national examinations. And you are aware, Mr. Speaker, that under Article 94, Part 5, that no person or body other than Parliament has power to make provision that has a force of law. Mr. Speaker, recently, the Ministry of Education, through the Kenya National Examination Council, communicated that this year's exams, all the people that will be managing exams, the center managers, are supposed to go to the sub-county headquarters to pick the exams 2 times in a day. Previously, Mr. Speaker, it was just once in a day in the morning, and they would have the exams in the schools until the end of the day. But this new provision, Mr. Speaker, poses certain challenges because, Mr. Speaker, sometimes, because it might also be the rainy season, the issue of not distance is one problem. The other issue is also the issue of terrain and the possibility that the exams, if they have to be done in the morning, returned to the sub-county headquarters and picked for the afternoon, this might pose a very major challenge, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, I just wanted your indulgence so that we can find a way forward for the sake of the citizens of this country and our candidates for this year. Because also, again, Mr. Speaker, I've talked to some of the sub-county directors, Mr. Speaker, and they're saying they are not even aware whether they'll be given additional funding to be able to manage the extra trip. Because now, what happens that the trips will actually be double. That means the cost of transportation of exams will double, as the ministry provided that kind of money, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, the other issue which is also concerned with the ministry is the issue of the task force, Mr. Speaker. Recently, the House did say that the task force needs to bring their report to the House so that we can deliberate on it. But, Mr. Speaker, we are about to close schools this term until next year. And our teachers are supposed to prepare for next year. Unfortunately, Mr. Speaker, we are not even sure what subjects will be taught in junior secondary school come January next year. So it's very important that as a House we take up this matter so that the schools close and everybody knows exactly what needs to be done. Mr. Speaker, thank you for that opportunity.
Who is supposed to collect the exam, the school teacher or the invigilator?
Mr. Speaker, the center manager, Mr. Speaker, is supposed to go to the center, the sub-county headquarters, pick the papers, take them to school. When they do the morning papers, they take them back all the way to the sub-county headquarters, return the morning papers, pick the ones for afternoon, again take them to the schools. So it's a major challenge, Mr. Speaker.
Meli, before you respond, Honourable Members, the matter raised by the Honourable Robert Mbui for order. Order, members. The matter raised by the Honourable...
All right, and away from that, listen to this. Soon, 10% of the ugali you consume might be cassava infused, as the flour blending regulation requiring the incorporation of underutilized crops to fill the maize deficit in the country is to be passed. Agriculture stakeholders now say production of the alternative for the country's staple per acre can be increased 5-fold if farmers are more open to genetically modified cassava and to collaborate with their seeds developers for an outgrower seed scheme which will ensure plentiful harvest even during low season.
We have already done work also with KEBS because, you know, for the regulation to come into place, you have to have other supporting document and procedures. So you cannot pass a regulation on flour blend without a standard to certify those products. So, and also to ensure product quality. So we have also worked together with the Kenya Bureau of Standards. They are well represented to ensure that there is going to be a standard in place that will be used to certify the cassava blends.
The yields are quite low in Kenya compared to some other regions. Actually, generally in Africa, we see that our yields are about 10 tons per hectare, whereas if you look at Asia, they're getting 23 tons per hectare. And the new varieties that we have can produce up to 40 tons per hectare. So we really need to now...
All right, think about it. I, as a foodie, ugali made of cassava. Anyway, it's a good idea. Now let us move on. The Cabinet Secretary for Education, Ezekiel Machogu, has issued a circular to have uniform suppliers to liberalize prices of uniforms and have parents buy from any suppliers. He further added that parents are not obligated to buy uniforms every year. On the standardization of uniforms, the Cabinet Secretary says a framework needs to be considered to have counties have the same color of uniforms. However, the mover of this motion, Githongori Member of Parliament Gathoni Wamuchomba, was not satisfied with the issuance of the circular, noting that it does not ensure action is taken.
If you will be looking at the admission letter, you will be able to see an item which says the school requires this kind of uniform, and it is the responsibility of the parent to procure. I'm aware, if it is a school which is based in Kiambu, parents and the tutors around that particular area will be able to now make it this Kiambu school, for example, make uniforms which now anybody coming from any part of the country will be able to go to any shop and get the uniform either ready-made or you can fit the uniform, because we also provide time that probably 2 weeks for one to have the uniform, because sometimes you might not be able to have ready-made, and that will also be provided for in the admission letter.
So I am, as a mover of this motion, I am not satisfied, and I have told the CS so and the committee so, because we need a motion, we need a policy. You know, telling us that you have released a circular. How many circulars have been released by Ministry of Education and they are never implemented? For example, there is a circular that was released by the ministry that day schools should not pay more than 9,000 shillings. Day schools, that is secondary school. How much money do day schools pay? More than that. But there is a circular. There is a circular that said that children should not be chased away from home because they have school fees balance, and the children are ever being sent home.
Quite an interesting debate, right? Elsewhere, a Freedom Fighters Association wants the government to set up a fund to cater for those who fought for the country's independence. This association said the fund will be an appreciation for the role the fighters played as the country approaches 60 years of its independence, lamenting that most of the liberators live in abject poverty, unable to cater for their basic needs. Chichi Josephine tells us more.
The Kenya African Mau Mau Union has expressed concerns about what they call neglect of freedom fighters and liberators.
Ni tabu tunaye mingi. Kwa maana mashamba iko na sisi hatuna mahali ya kukaa. Na tulipigania hiyo uhuru shauri ya mashamba yetu.
Na tunataka mashamba tena tuwasie watoto wetu, sasa sisi tuna siku zetu ziko karibu tufariki.
They also raised concerns that while stories of those who advocated for independence through constitutional means have been amplified, those who waged the liberation war do not get the same attention.
Mwaka wa leo ni mwaka wa 71. Hakuna mtu yoyote katika taifa letu amewahi kujitolea kukuja kuweka jamii ya Mau Mau pamoja kama jamii ya kitaifa. Jina Mau Mau halina uhusiano wowote na kabila fulani.
Hawajapata mashamba hawa wazazi. Kuna pia ile ambayo ada inafaa walipo ya miaka 7. Sababu kama ukiajili mtu kazi na yule mtu atende kazi, inastahili alipwe. Kwa hivyo hawa wazee kuna miaka 7 ambayo walikuwa katika msituni, wanastahili kulipwa.
Many veteran freedom fighters are said to have died, but their families remain landless and destitute in a country whose liberation was brought by their forefathers.
Wazee mnawaona hapa, huu mfi wao, usione mauti iwe ni aibu kwa watoto wetu kama sisi watoto wao. Tutasaidiwa na serikali ya Kenya kwanza, hawa wazee waingie kwa mashamba wakati huu.
Sisi tungetaka tupewe mashamba, tuwase kusukumana, tumesogomana kule central jimbo la kati, tumesogomana sana, na kukiwa na hayo mashamba ilikuwa miaso na wazungu yetu tupewe, ni tupewe, yache kukaa hivi kukaa na wanyama.
The union is advocating for a special museum and showcase focused on the history of freedom fighters, where their history and memorabilia should be preserved.
Tunaweza kujivunia pakubwa ikiwa monument ya Koitalelo Semoyei pia inaweza kuwa elevated katika Nyayo Garden. hiyo itakuwa ni kuweza kuleta taifa nzima pamoja.
Chichi Josephine, TV47.
All right, thank you, Chichi, for that report. Elsewhere, as one way to control soil erosion in the country, this is when El Nino rains were expected to start earlier this month. Farmers in Bungoma County had been encouraged to dig ditches in their farms to curb the impacts of El Nino. Solidaridad organization and cereal growers are focusing on maize cultivation in cooperation with Bungoma County government and are calling on farmers to pay attention on how to face the effects of El Nino as early expected. Today, farmers in Bumula, that is Mount Elgon and Kimimili areas received training. CGA manager Samuel Songo said they have taken that step so as to face the challenges maize farmers are going through.
By the way, that is the only time that farmers tunajaribu kufunza wakulima wetu kujiandaa kwa kutengeneza mitaro kwa mashamba yao, kwa sababu tunajua mvua ni chanzo cha kukua na mmomonyoko wa udongo kwa mashamba yetu. So ni vizuri wakulima wajiandae kwa kutengeneza mitaro kwa mashamba yao ili waweze kuzuia maji mengi ambayo ni ya mvua kuenda na udongo wao kwa shamba. Number 2, tunajaribu kuelimisha wakulima wetu hii maji ya mvua wajaribu kuiweka, that is water harvesting, so that wakati ambapo kipindi ya jua itakuja wakuwa na uwezo wa kupata maji sipotee wakati ambapo jua ama during dry season.
You know the challenges the farmers are facing in producing, so we are coming in to fill the gap in supporting farmers to produce optimally per unit area. And of course, we have partnered with the county government in providing extension services and complementing the services that the county is offering to our farmers.
Tuwaelimisha wakulima kwamba katika hali ya mabadiliko ya hali ya anga isiwe kizuizi cha kuishi, bali waone ya kwamba kuna miradi ambayo wanaweza kufanya na waone ya kwamba maisha yao yanaendelea.
And the name of that Western town is quite a tongue twister. Moving on, still on matters agriculture, farmers in the Central Rift are now calling on the national government to promote the production of indigenous crops and ensure access to seeds to mitigate effects of climate change. The over 500 farmers under Makongo Agriculturalist Network further want both levels of government to come up with policies that will secure the sovereignty of Kenyan's indigenous seeds in a bid to enhance food security and conserve the indigenous seed variety. Chichi Josephine with more.
While petitioning the state to address a shortage of indigenous seeds and food, the farmers called on the national and county governments to put in place systems to identify and document all Kenyan seed varieties to protect and preserve this unique heritage and boost food security. Mr. Ngiri, who is the group's spokesperson, said the conservation and use of traditional crop varieties provides a wealth of genetic crop diversity and should be recognized as critical to climate change adaptation.
Geomba serikali ikuje na mwafaka ya kutusaidia ama watuulize maoni wanapoweka hizi sheria za mbegu, kwa sababu ni very expensive kuregister mbegu ambayo unaweza uza. Kwa hivyo what we are doing now ni kujaribu kuexchange mbegu ile traditional way. Hatuwezi fanya hivyo commercially, itabidi tukate license which is very expensive. So we afford kulipa 2 million for one variety.
Ngiri claims that while more than 80% of small-scale farmers in the country rely on the traditional seed sector, the country's seed laws and regulations do not recognize the informal seed sector.
Tunazipea wakulima, wanaenda pia wana multiply, na pia tunawafunza jinsi ya kusave, hao wenye watachagua hizo mbegu na kuzisafisha.
Sisi ni wakulima ya kutaka watoto wetu wawe wamesoma ili mambo ya mashoshi yetu isipotee. Ndio sisi tuendelee na kutengeneza mbegu na kueneza, tunauza mbegu hata nje.
Ukiangalia area hii yetu ni sehemu ambayo inakaa kame, kwa hivyo hivi vyakula huwa vinafanya vizuri zile za kiasili.
The network is also promoting use of traditional methods of farming to smallholder farmers, which is pesticide-free and less costly, to enable them participate in farming practices to increase their household incomes, while at the same time improve their nutritional status.